Hello there, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have some Arteza products. Once again, I've been doing a lot of Arteza lately. They sent me this product. So disclaimer, I do not do sponsored videos, so they are not paying me to do this video, and these were sent to me with the understanding that I would give my honest review on these, so that is that. But I've been really enjoying the Arteza products that I have gotten recently, so I was super excited to get these in the mail. So let's go ahead and open this up and take a look. Haven't played with them at all. It's the 72 Watercolor Pencils. And now they say expert on there. I don't know, necessarily what that actually means. But I'm excited. I will say that 17 years ago when I started card making, I actually did most of my watercoloring with my first ever set of watercolor pencils, and those were from Stampin' Up, and I really love those, and I had those for years and years and years until I basically ran out. So I was very excited to give these a try. So this is 72 watercolor pencils, and like all the other products that I've gotten, they've got all of them listed on the back, which is great because they have the number and then they have the name of it, which is nice. So, but I also like to swatch mine, so we'll just do that as well. So let's go ahead and open these up and take a look. The canister seems pretty stable. Ooh, those are nice. Oh, those are pretty. And it looks like the lead is pretty thick on those. So those are nice, and it does have the color and the number right there on the pencil as well, so that's nice. And it looks like there are several. Oops. Wow, that is a lot of watercolor pencils. You're not gonna run out of colors, that's for sure. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to swatch these out. I went ahead and cut these down knowing that I had 72 watercolors or watercolor pencils. I have my Arteza. Let me show you. I've done these before if you've watched any of the recent videos. So I've got the Arteza Expert Watercolor Pad. This is the 100% cotton. I highly suggest anytime you are swatching anything, because you want to see how it looks on that, you want to use it on the paper that you use the most. So I did the Arteza 100% cotton expert level, and then I also am going to do it on the Strathmore 140 pound watercolor paper 300 series, because I use that quite a bit as well for card making, and so I will do this on both of these. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and swatch out these colors. And this was just done with the Waffle Flower Color Swatches stamp set. I love this stamp set for any sort of color swatching. It's fantastic, and there are matching dies that go with it. But I just used this one, and I stamped it out 6 times this way, and then 2 going this way so that I would have exactly 72. And you can tell because it's not perfectly lined up, but that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and swatch these out, and then I'll come back and I'll give you some impressions, and maybe we can even play a little bit on camera once I discover a few things. So we'll be back. All right, so we're back. I did the swatching of all the colors, and this one is on the Strathmore, and this one is on the Arteza paper that I showed you earlier. I think they both work fine. I like the blend a little bit better on the Arteza, but I think part of that has to do with the grain of the paper. So the Strathmore paper has a bit more of a, it's like a one-way grain a little bit, whereas the Arteza is just, it's a little bit more, the grain is a little bit more consistent, maybe. I don't even know if that's the right word I'm looking for, but so I'll show you, and I also brought out some Bristol paper because I wanted to see how those worked on that as well. So let's zoom in a little bit and we'll take a look. One of the things I noticed about the pencils is that they have a number on them, like I mentioned earlier, and so each of these pans is just set up in kind of I guess a rainbow kind of look. But you could take them out and you could put them sort of in a color order, or at least a number order if you wanted to. Now, some of the colors seem to go together pretty well as far as like, you know, this one's 87 and this one's 88. So those two look like they would go together pretty nicely. And then, or no, this one's the top one. So it's these two. So those two look like they would go next to each other very nicely. But then you might have other purples that are like 109, or like this one over here is 20, and then this one is 86, so that one would go with those, and then this one's 62, but there are no purples over in this one. So you're gonna still have colors in different areas, but if you know you swatch them out and you want to make sure that you have them in a specific order so that you can put them back in that order, it might be better to try and do it in the number order themselves. So that way, in case this fell, even though this seems pretty sturdy, the case itself closes pretty nicely. I don't think that's something you'd really have to worry about too much. It closes very nicely, and you do have to, you know, really kind of work to, not work, but just, you know, getting it open takes a little effort, unless you dropped it, of course. Now, I was really excited about these, so let's go ahead and jump in and show you. Let's just use this blueberry color. I'm going to put it on the Strathmore, and I'll put it on the Arteza, and then I'll put it on the Bristol as well, so we can see how it works on all of these. Now, Bristol is a smooth cardstock. The Arteza is 100% cotton, and its grain in the paper is pretty, like I said, pretty consistent. Even the back isn't like really smooth, but I will do it on the back as well. So let me, because the Strathmore has a smoother side also. So this one's the more granulated side, I guess, and then that one's the smoother side. So we'll do both. Let's start with the Strathmore. I'm using these Arteza water brush pens, or, you know, water brushes. These are really nice because it has the little push button. So I really like that because I can control my pressure a little bit better. So that's how that one is. So something I did notice, and I'll show you here, is that once you get the color down, okay, and it works okay on the Bristol, yeah. Once you get the color down, let's say I want to go back over that and blend it a little bit better. Let's try, I'll do it with the same one. I want to blend a little more color in there. I mean, it's pretty easy. It's really not hard to do. Let me put a little bit down. And I'm going to bring some of the water out, and then I'm going to let it dry. Because there's a little bit of a learning curve, I've noticed, when it comes to these watercolor pencils. They're not going to work the exact same, obviously, as a pan watercolor, or even your real brush watercolor markers. They are going to work a little bit differently. All right, so let me dry this real quick. Okay, so if I want to try and blend that out, I'm going to have a little bit harder time blending. You know, so you may end up with some harsher lines in some areas because it can be a little bit more difficult to blend it once you've already put some water over it. I mean, you can do it, but it's a little bit more difficult. Yeah, and it's hard to do it at all on the Bristol. But let me do on this smoother side of the Strathmore. Yeah, that's pretty easy. I did put some on this other side of the Arteza, but there really isn't a smooth side and a non-smooth side with the Arteza paper. This particular Arteza brand paper. And this Bristol Smooth is just smooth on both sides. And let's see how they do with blending into one color into another. And I'm only doing it on these 3 papers just to show you. Okay, so we'll start here with the Strathmore. So you can get a nice blend there. On the Arteza as well. And even on the Bristol. So that works out pretty nicely. Let's put a little bit of water. We'll put a little water on each one, and then we're going to blend right into the paper with the pencil now. Put a little bit of water on. I put a lot of water on that one. Okay. You can do that. Let's see how that works too. But then it becomes a little bit more difficult to blend out on the Bristol anyway. Arteza's fine. And the Strathmore makes it a little bit more difficult too. As you can see, it has a little bit of a pencil line. Another thing you can do with watercolor pencils, I'm not sure if you're aware, is that you can go right from the pencil to your paper. So you can pick up the color from the pencil and you can shade that way as well. That works. So that's another nice thing you can do with these pencils. And that'll give you a much softer look. So keep in mind with the watercolor pencils, you are going to get a little bit of granulation potentially when you use the pencil on the paper. So it is going to give a different look than, say, a pan watercolor or even a marker watercolor. So it kind of just depends on the look that you're going for, but it is a beautiful look all in its own. And like I said, I did have to have a little bit of a learning curve with these. As you can tell, when I first started out, it took me a minute to kind of get the practice down of blending it out and working it into the paper. And even on the Arteza, it took me a minute to kind of get it figured out as well. But once I did, I was able to work that fine. So compared to other watercolor pencils that I have had in the past, I think these are wonderful. There's a large array of colors. With 72, you have pretty much every color you could need. And at the price point of $28.98 on the Arteza website, that's a really good price. So would I recommend these? Absolutely. For the price point of $28.98, you get 72 colors and they're beautiful. You really couldn't want for a whole lot more. And I went ahead and, as I mentioned earlier, these have numbers on them, so I went ahead and on my swatch, I wrote the number of each one. So that way, just in case things get out of hand or moved around, if I'm really intensely coloring and kind of forget to put things back, I at least know which one is what color when it's swatched out. But yes, I am looking forward to using these more in the future. These will be great as a card maker, and I think they'll be a lot of fun. So I'll have everything linked down below. I even have a coupon code for 10% off that goes until July 30th of this year. And so all that will be linked down below. And if you have any questions, please leave those in the comment section down below. If you liked this video, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so, because you will see more using those and all the other things that I've gotten. So as always, thank you guys so much for stopping by.